Has Rishi Sunak committed political suicide? You see, he has announced early elections. Sunak had until January 2025 to name the day, by the way, but he has jumped the gun. The UK elections will now take place on the 4th of July. The whole of the UK is stunned. Why did Sunak do this? What were his reasons? Because it was assumed that Sunak would at least wait till autumn for the big announcement. Even if he lost, he would at least have the comfort of finishing 2 years at 10 Downing Street. So why now rather than October or even November? Is it an unlikely act of daring? Maybe when you've had as much bad news as the UK Prime Minister, you may jump at the slightest hope of good fortune. On the morning of Sunak's election announcement, the Office for National Statistics announced that inflation is finally close to the 2% target. That means the Conservatives could go into the election with stable food prices and energy bills. The voters are finally feeling the impact of dual cuts to national insurance. Wages are perky, unemployment is relatively low. Sunak's Rwanda immigration scheme has also been passed. Moving now may spare him the embarrassment of an expected surge in boat crossings later in the summer. Is that what Sunak thought? There is one simple reason why a British Prime Minister would call a general election earlier than they have to, because they know better than anyone else that things are going to get worse later, when they anticipate that their policies are going to fail in the future. With his announcement, Sunak has given up the chance to play the last few cards that some Tories hoped could help the party. His party is clearly unhappy with his decision. Tory members have branded the move a kamikaze election. They think the party is not ready to go to the polls, and they are right. The Tories are 20 points behind the opposition Labour Party in the polls. The early elections mean there will be no mini budget in early September. Some had seen that as the last roll of the dice. There will be no further cuts in taxes or national insurance contributions either. If there are interest rate cuts, they will come too late and will probably be too small to turn the mood around. Long story short, Tories' prospects to turn things around were grim to begin with. Now, the Prime Minister's decision has robbed them of a final push as well. All they have is 6 weeks to campaign. What can they possibly do to change the mood? Who was advising Sunak to take this call? This is the opposite of what Sunak's Foreign Secretary, David Cameron, had suggested. The man was brought in, remember, to talk some sense into Rishi Sunak. He endorsed plans to wait until later in the year for an election. The decision of early elections was so secret that even Sunak's Chancellor of the Exchequer, Jeremy Hunt, appeared surprised. Only last week, he had suggested he might again reduce payroll taxes in an autumn fiscal statement. All of that has gone down the drain now. Sunak was thought to be competent. It was his USP after the Johnson shambles and the Liz Truss catastrophe. But whatever he has done after taking office has only contradicted that theory. Former Prime Minister Boris Johnson has taken the opportunity, by the way, to launch attacks at Sunak. He said that the Conservatives are drifting to defeat and Sunak is offering voters nothing to rally behind. And he might not be wrong after all. There is an old saying in British politics: the Conservative Party is ruthless in its pursuit of power. But as of now, it seems relentlessly focused on losing it. In all of modern British political history, there has been only one July general election. It was back in 1945. Unlike now, many had assumed it would produce a Conservative victory. Instead, it ended in the most iconic Labour landslide win of the 20th century. Clement Attlee led his party to a 145-seat majority after Winston Churchill's Tories. What's going to happen during this year's July election? It might not be too difficult to guess. To stay up to speed with the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.